Everybody, and welcome to another comics loving, graphic novel loving edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Glad to be joined on this episode by author and illustrator Jonathan Roth. Jonathan, thank you for jumping in and joining.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Enjoyed Rover and Spec. I believe you have two books in that series at this point. Is that right?
The second's coming out soon.
Okay, that sounded right to me. And yeah, I think I discovered Rover and Spec on like NetGalley or one of those spaces because I'm always trying to keep an eye out on what's being published for young people and what's being published in general in the world of comics. So
Right.
was immediately drawn to your work, and I'm going to probably mislabel the other series. Beep and Bop, is that right?
Beep in. Do you say Bob or Bob? Yeah, it's Bob.
Bob,
Beep
I'm
in.
sorry, Bob. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most people call it Beep and Bop. It just sounds right, but
Yeah, that for
I
some
guess it's
reason it's an onomatopoeia thing. I don't know.
right.
So Beep and Bob, sorry about that.
Mhm.
And that's also a multiple book series, at least what is it, three?
Yeah, that was 4 books. That's
Four
not
books.
graphic novels. That's like chapter books. So skinny little things.
Love it,
I do
love it.
I do black and white spot illustrations for those, but
Mm.
um, think like Magic Treehouse kind of you know length and all that.
So what is it about writing, creating that has especially attracted you as an artist and just in general as a person, even as a young creator, maybe?
As a young creator, I mean, I like to tell kids, like I mostly talk to kids. This is one of the few times I've ever talking to a grown up in my careers. I have multiple,
I could try to talk more like a kid if you want. I don't really
like
know
a
how that would
5 year.
come off.
I don't know. You're actually paying attention. You're not like talking to your friends. It's great. Um, yeah, because I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I'm an art teacher, elementary art teacher by day.
Mhm.
Just finished year 24
Wow.
on Friday, and tomorrow is like the teacher singing up, day. So when the bell goes off on Friday, kids have summer vacation, but there's this kind of veil between summer and the school year for teachers, and so I'm walking through that veil now and expect to be through it by tomorrow. I'm used to talking to the young kids, and I write for that age too, which is really not uncoincidental or whatever.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but my love of comics and just books in general came, as like most of us, just being a reader and loving comics, loving books from a young age. So that's how I got into it, just through. That's what I tell kids. Like they ask, "Why did you become an author?" And well, I love books. I love reading. I mean, I want to contribute to that. I mean, I love movies and music and all that too, but I don't really have. I don't know. I've always been, I've drawn since a young age. I've written, so I'm. That's where I feel, life has taken me as far as when I'm able to give back.
Huh. I was thinking that you were an educator as well. I was thinking that was also part of your story because I believe we kind of emailed back and forth at one point about this time last year, and I was thinking that was part of the inspiration and trajectory that you were on.
Hmm.
There's something about speaking that language with kids every day that inspires, especially if you're already drawn to creating. It seems to inspire creating in that sort of vein too.
Right. Well, I know my audience.
Yeah.
I've written for, I can write anywhere from kindergarten, fifth grade, whatever. I've never, I've never written a YA or attempted that yet, and I think that would be a little bit out of my wheelboat, like because
Yeah.
I don't hang with teenagers much. So, um, but I know the little kids.
Well, one of the things I think I've tweeted is, great paired text idea would be Rover and Spec with Jasmine Warga's A Rover Story. So you could,
Exactly.
yeah.
In fact, those came out. It was by coincidence. They both came out on I think October 3rd of 2022, or this last fall. So I called it Rover Day, and I actually interviewed her for my blog, and
Oh,
I
nice.
haven't met her in person, but uh, yeah, it's great that things come in pairs or threes or whatever. So yeah, that's an
Mhm.
awesome book. Yeah, I saw your interview with her too.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. She's very kind. I talked with her. That was the second time I talked with her as well. So I didn't realize they came out the same day for some reason, or I'd forgotten. But that's a great sort of like leveling up. You know, you got Rover and Spec, and I know the graphic novel and like graphic novels for youth tend to be a particular audience, but really anybody could enjoy those. And dig in. They're very enjoyable across the board, at least from my point of view.
That's part of what attracted me to doing graphic novels is, um, I mean, I've circled around to cartooning like different parts of my life. Like, as a very young, kid, I was doing comics a lot or trying to copy, all my favorites and all that. And
Mhm.
then I got into more like serious things. And actually, when I went to art school, I was more of a photographer. Um, but then I kind of circled back to cartooning. I started doing just drawing cartoons for fun for like friends in certain situations, and that ended up being I did like freelance cartooning strips for certain periodicals and magazines and papers for part of the '90s. So it's still a while ago, but I was getting into more like cartoon newspaper. I wanted to ultimate dream was to be a syndicated cartoonist, but
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
that never happened. And then started writing more like picture books, middle grade novels, and now I've circled back to cartooning again for comics. So, and it's just to coincide with this great surge of graphic novels. In fact, I probably should have tried to come in a little sooner because now everything is graphic novels for kids. That's the main section they go to in the library, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
they go for Dogman, they go for whatever. But so it is a great time to be doing that.
And I hope the surge continues. I hope it's not an ebb and flow, and hoping there's a continued surge that keeps coming. And yeah, I enjoy what's possible in comics, being a longtime comics reader. So it's also great to see things that are sort of outside the comics I knew as a kid to see the possibilities.
Right? Well, when I tell kids, like I show them what I read when I was a kid, and it was mostly superhero comics,
Mm-hmm.
which are fine, but like we didn't have Smile or things that were like more memoir or science comics or
Hmm.
pretty much anything now. So so it is a good time. Yeah, I don't know what's going to replace like our graphic novel is going to continue being big for kids. Are they going to go back to more prose print? It's hard. We live in such a visual society now, and the kids are on their screens all the time. Like, in fact, the only thing I see replacing it is like screens, like
Yeah.
non-books. That's my big worry. But um, graphic novels seem to have at least kept their attention in reading, especially the younger set who, like at our school, for instance, they don't have phones or whatever. I mean, they have Chromebooks and like that, but there still is a time in youth where kids are reading as opposed to scrolling or whatever.
Hmm. And there's a really nice relationship between like web comics and published like print comics too. I know a couple of creators that have shared web comics that have then moved into sort of like Scholastic or one of the major publishers. Sort of get discovered that way. So that's also a nice relationship that's kind of there between the screen and printed graphic novels as well.
Right.
So do your students know that they are learning from a famous published author and illustrator? Do they know that?
Famous. Do they know? Of course they. I don't know if they care too much, but I mean, I don't play with. I never share my stuff really with kids. In fact, I do a lot of school visits where I go to other schools and do author
Mm,
talks. I only work 4 days. I've gone down to 4 days a week teaching, so I've like one day off, and I use that for book stuff and for visiting other schools. But I don't speak in my own school, kind of more for a conflict of interest. Wondering my school system's a little, I think it's a little fuzzy.
hmm.
So it seems like I'm promoting it or something, but most kids know, like when I do local talks or something, or my Barnes and Noble or the library, um, a big part of the crowd is often my students, so they find out about it, and I have my books, of course, on the shelf, and along with many others. So So they know about it, but kind of like sometimes you hear about like the kids of celebrities, who cares? You know, no, but they yeah, they like it.
Yeah, and I imagine it's a really nice thing for them to sort of see an author, talk with an author, and looking back especially, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that was my teacher. That was that guy." To sort of see, a real person creates these things and shares with the world. So that's kind of a powerful thing in its own way.
Mhm.
Do you have a particular like experience on a school visit? One of the things I always like to ask about are kind of those funny moments with kids and readers. Could be from your classroom or could be from someone else's classroom.
Funny moments. I don't know, so many. I mean, I love again just talking to kids, meeting them at different schools. Um, they're all open to sharing and to learning about it and all that. Um, yeah, I can't think of one specific anecdote. I should put that on my to-do list. Think of the best anecdotes about school visits. You know.
But I imagine that's really rewarding too because you kind of have the educator side of it, you have the creating side of it, but then to connect with kids that have read your book and want to engage that way, I'm sure that's very rewarding.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned Rover and Spec Part Two is soon to be in the world. Is that right?
Yeah, again, early October this year, that'll come out. So, and as of now, as I'm transitioning into summer, what that means to me is like, hardcore book time, production time on book three, which is due at the end of this summer. And I've got all the roughs done, and it's pretty much been edited. So now I'm just working on the final illustration. So that's most of my summer right there. But that's good. So
Busy summer ahead.
yeah, so here's where I will be right here in this room, uh, taking long breaks, naps, bike rides, occasional trip or something. But yep, book three, and that doesn't come out till a year and 2 Octobers from now or whatever. So I'm sure probably most of your readers or your viewers know that the production often takes years,
Hmm. Hmm.
working years ahead of time. I'm really excited too. My first picture book comes out next summer too,
Oh, wonderful.
summer 2024. So that's something I'm working on. I'll be working on that too, at least. Just very final. I mean, it's in the final edit stages, and basically we're just working on the cover at this point. Um, but that's another little summer task.
So the YA middle grades audience is calling because you're going to have a picture book category. You've got the sort of like young reader chapter book, and now we're talking middle grades and young adults. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I've written middle grade. I've actually written middle grade novels. That was how I first landed my first agent was through like middle grade novels.
That's
Um,
nice.
which kind of like surprised me. Again, I entered through picture books thinking that's what I would do, but then because I'm very familiar since I use picture books as exemplars and all that. Um, but I was getting more into like kids lit and all that. I just fell in love with middle grade novels, just that whole genre, and I started reading a lot of those, and I started writing those, and that's um, an agent picked up or picked me up, through one of those. Um, it never sold. I mean, it came very close to selling like with one of the Harry Potter editors at Scholastic. So, um, and then I think she sold maybe another one or shopped another one around. But so I have dabbled in middle grade, just nothing published yet. Who knows? Who knows?
Right, right. And hope those drafts are still around somewhere to pull out and play with and rework.
Me too. Every time my computer breaks, I don't know. I keep losing like computers and stuff. So I don't know where that stuff all goes. I do. I used to print out. They have most of that stuff printed out. But I've gotten even lazy about printing stuff out anymore. Where do you put it all?
Right? Google Docs. I'm a fan. Google Docs for sure.
Okay. But then the robotic apocalypse comes and what happens to all
Right?
that stuff?
There was a day when Google Docs went down, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I have manuscripts and things out there too. So hopefully, it all maintains somewhere out there, the creativity.
At some point or another, I usually like email, like when I'm just doing like the writing part, I would like email myself the manuscript.
Hmm.
So I don't know how secure that is or whatever, but so I've maintained, I still have like a Hotmail account, and that's where like probably a lot of my old stuff is somewhere on there, which I assume if you open it up, some old word would
Hmm.
restore it. I don't know.
That tends to
Uh,
happen. I think that happens. Yeah, I think it
so
restores.
we'll leave that to the historians. I just tend to move on.
Putting the autographa out there, the
Mhm.
historians can find it. So speaking of finding things, I always like to share about websites, upcoming events, upcoming things. You mentioned Rover and Spec, books to come, a picture book to come, anything else that you want to make sure to mention. And I'll, of course, link your website and any preferred social media when I share this as well.
Um, I think that, well, this weekend, I'm going to be at the Chesapeake Children's Book Festival, which if anyone's on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, that's always a fun one. Um, Otherwise, in the summer, it's kind of low key and the library talks and
Mhm.
bookstores and stuff like that. But schools are closed down, no school visits. Uh, Mostly using this time to again work in the production part of things. But then October, we're working at number two, and then this time next summer, just a little into next summer, is when the picture book will come out. So maybe I'll talk to you more about that when that actually comes out because I'm excited about that one.
That's what I was just about to say is I'll have you back on to talk picture books and the next Rover and Spec and all of the things to come. And would be glad to talk with you anytime about your projects and work.
Yeah. I mean, my picture book is also my first nonfiction work, so like creative nonfiction or whatever. So that's going to be interesting too. So a different kind of stretch.
I love when creators stretch themselves and love when there are a variety of titles, genres out there. So readers can go, oh yeah, I read that person when they wrote this, and now I'm reading this. So I'm all about that.
Yep.
All right.
Maybe someday I'll do the YA, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
On the other direction, I've never tried a board book either, so that'd be the other direction to go.
very true. Very true.
Um,
Lots of creative possibilities.
the cool thing about kids' books, I mean, there's just so many, levels and different kind of genres and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mm, yeah. And we want voracious readers, so the more the better.
hmm exactly.
You have work to do. I probably shouldn't keep you because you have Rover and Spec, you have the picture book, you have a busy summer, and then of course, as an educator, I know time does not slow down when August hits either. And I also know that feeling you were talking about of cleaning out the classroom and sort of closing things down and being in that strange time between the end of student time and the time you go home to work on other things. So,
Right.
yeah.
I just made a cartoon that I'll probably like you might see it on Facebook tomorrow or whatever, but showing the conflict, the eternal battle between June me and August me, because then tomorrow's where I have to go clean the classroom and all that. And June me knows, oh, I have so much time. I should just spend all day tomorrow, get it right, put everything away. Of course, I'm gonna just shove things in the closet at the last minute as quickly as I can. Then August me is going to be like screwed. They're going to open the closet door, everything's going to explode on them, and so it's that tension between now me and future me. Once again, I think June me is going to win out and just kind of get lazy tomorrow, but I do want to pass through that veil and get to summer vacation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's like, do you be kind to yourself in present me or future me? And future me is always probably going to look back and go, dude,
Through
come
future
on.
me, come on.
A lot could happen between now and then. Like
Exactly.
you might Marie Kondo the whole thing. Never
Exactly. Well, not likely.
know.
Pretty, I'm an organized art teacher, for art
Yeah.
teachers, but I keep it like nice for the kids and all that. But when it comes to the closet space or the things where you can shove things, oh boy, there's like years of paper stacked up. I don't even know. Again, I'll leave it to the historians to deal with that.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you could try an ephemera project. You could pull
Yeah.
out some of the old things and sort of collage some of that stuff. Could be a
Hmm,
thing.
good idea. Or maybe just toss it all in the kiln and be done with it.
Yeah, if you have a kiln, that's a thing too.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir, for a lovely chat, and I'll look for the comic about the end of the year feels because I also go through that. Um, it's a sacred time, a beautiful time, an emotional time, and I will also share this recording back with you so you can share it on.
All right. Well, have a good summer,
You too.
and thanks so much for having me. And yeah, I'll be back.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And thanks for all that you do for your students, for young readers, and for the literacy community.
All right, I appreciate it.